Hi, Carolyn Southwell here. Now, while we wait for somebody to jump on and just check that the audio and video are working fine, if that's you, pop it in the chat. I wanted to let you know, and I again looking at my notes here to make sure I talk about all the important things. The last 6 months, I have been building some very exciting things, and I want to make sure that you have a chance to know about them. If you like my work, if you've been following me for a while and you're not on my email list, you've got to get on, because that is the first place and sometimes the only place that I talk about particular opportunities, offerings, new products. And I have a new coaching offer, a mini coaching offer that's going to make it it's going to be the right offer for some people who haven't been who haven't been a match for the things that I have offered previously. That's going to go out to the email list tomorrow morning. So if you are catching this live or very soon after I have gone live, then make sure you jump on that email list. I will put a link in the video description, and uh, that's where all the new stuff will be. Now, if you're catching this after the fact, but you do like my work, you like the way I teach, you like the simplicity of it all, then know that all the future things, all the products, and thanks for the note that the video and audio are working. That's great. All of those new things are going to be shared there. So there's lots and lots of new stuff that's coming out in the next few weeks and months. So I'm very excited to share it with you. Now, today, let me just check what I've got. I am going to answer another video from a viewer who was watching another video. I'm going to put that video up here so that you can watch that one if you haven't seen it. This video today, this live, is going to be useful for you if you're a projector with a 4 in your profile. We call this a 4th line profile. So that's you if you are a 1-4, a 2-4, a 4-6, or a 4-1 projector. Or if you are somebody who is supporting your child or partner or best friend, or you have your own clients who are a different design from you and they are one of those projectors with a 4 in their profile, then this video is probably going to be a good use of your time. Now, this question, and bear with me as I look down because I want to make sure that I read this question as it was asked. The question has 2 parts, and to make it easier for you to follow along, I'm actually going to read the first chunk and then answer it, and then read the second chunk and answer it. Okay, so this was the question that was asked. One question I have for you is about the 2-4 projector who wants to build a network. Is it okay for this person to go to social events where they have not been invited? Like they just saw an announcement and think it's a good place to go and meet new people. So if you have been playing with human design for any length of time, you would know that this strategy is responding, as in seeing an announcement somewhere, somehow. Back in the day, it would have been on a physical notice board. These days, it's more likely to be somewhere online, but it could be, in a physical newspaper or a physical magazine. There could be any kind of as a projector, I think of it like a static thing, like a billboard or an ad in any place. These days it's more likely to be on Facebook than it is to be in a physical newspaper. But an announcement, a sign, something, that works really well for the 4th line generator and manifesting generator for them to respond to. This doesn't work very well for us as projectors, but I am such a fan of you experimenting. So even though you have not received an invite, because an invite is it's not static. Somebody has sent their energy towards you and invited you. They've called you out. They've said, hey, I think this thing would be a good idea. Hey, why don't you go along to this? Hey, why don't you join us at this thing? That's what an invitation will sound like. And even if it's not said verbally, it might be in an email, it might be in a text message, it might be in any sort of message, right? But here's what I want to say. Sometimes with human design, we can get a little bit like, oh, it's not perfect. Oh, it's not the right way. I'm just not going to do it. And I have learnt so much about the nuances of my strategy as a projector by trying things. And if you have any, especially if you have look at your chart. If you've got any sort of preponderance in any a sizable number of 3s or 6s lines after the decimal point in those columns of data, if after the gate there is a number, that is your line, it'll be 1 to 6. If a fair chunk of those are 3s or 6s, then I want to encourage you to just go try. If you want to go to the networking event and you just saw an announcement and it just sounds interesting to you, then just go. Go and try. But here's what I want to say about this is whenever I do experiments, and this is what I always say to my clients, keep your eyes and your ears wide open. Pay attention to what happens. Now, if you notice that your process while you're there is like you get ignored, it doesn't feel very fulfilling, you finish it, it feels like a waste of your time, the whole process feels clunky and difficult and not enjoyable, you know you didn't do it right. And that's not a reason to beat yourself up about it. It's just, that didn't work. Isn't that interesting? What am I going to do differently next time? Sometimes some weird combination of things will happen and you'll realize that it was smooth and flowy and easy and enjoyable, and you meet somebody fabulous and it feels like it was a really good productive use of your time. In which case, pay attention to what you did and see if you can do the same thing again. What was the feeling you had when you saw the announcement? What were the circumstances that led you to be in that room? See if you can pay really close attention to that. What I would say is the overwhelming majority of times in the past when I, as a projector, have just decided that I would go to something for any sort of networking reasons, whether it was professional networking, whether it was in my days of being in a job or in my many days now of being in business, whether it was just to network, to make new friends. If I responded to some kind of announcement, if I just decided that I wanted to go and I'd had no invite, nobody opening a door, nobody encouraging me to go to that thing, almost all of the time it did not work well. It was not a good use of my time. All right. So, but I can only say that with such a deep understanding of that flow because I did it. So, this is going to be especially true if you have a whole bunch of 3s and 6s somewhere in your design. Obviously, if you're a 4th line profile, you are not going to have 3s in your profile. You might have a 6, but if in other places in your design you have a bunch of 3rd and 6th lines, then as I do, then you might have to just go and try this 17 times the wrong way for you to finally go, oh, I get what she was talking about. Okay, this is not a good use of my time, right? But in the process, you will learn so much about the nuance of what works and what doesn't. So here's the second part of the question. They have said, also, would you recommend to this person, the 2-4, that during those social events, they should go to people and introduce themselves, or do they need to wait for others to come and start the conversation? So again, I don't like playing with musts and shoulds and have to and very strong lines about things. So you can go up and like introduce yourself to people. You can initiate conversations. And if you've never done this before, then for shits and giggles, I would encourage you to do it. But here's what's going to happen. It's not going to go well. But you might have to learn that the hard way, and that's okay. What I would recommend if you want to make it as likely to be successful as possible, and this will be the case if you are networking at a social event, networking at a professional event, networking at a family event. You know, if you're anything like me, on one side of my family, I have a very big family. So, you know, there's networking within families sometimes. And whether you responded to an announcement or you did it correctly and you waited for an invitation and you're in a room that you're invited to be in, the same rules apply to this second part of the conversation. My strong suggestion, if you want to make it as easy and enjoyable and successful as possible, is to wait. Notice who comes to you. Notice who pays you attention. Notice who asks you questions about you. You know, who's genuinely interested in you, what's inside of you. They want to draw it out of you, as opposed to you just being a really good networker and you asking lots of questions about other people. We can fall into a trap sometimes if as a projector you're very practiced with your social skills and you can listen really well and you can ask really great questions. You might have somebody talk to you for a whole half an hour, but they might just be talking about themselves. So pay attention to whether or not the other person like wants to hear about you, is interested about you, is asking you questions. What's the quality of attention that somebody else is giving you? Do they want you in the room? Are they so happy that you're there? If yes, you did it right. Congratulations. Now, if you have a question that you would like me to answer in one of these YouTube videos, so like something about how do I live my design, but I don't need your chart in order to answer it, like it might be applicable to more people, then ask it below in a comment and I'll see if it's something that's suitable for the channel.